अख्यापयन्तं तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्तिर्जिता त्वम् पुनः प्रेमार्थस्तं सतवृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवा मोक्षं न मोक्षं वदेवा न च न्यविनेहा वरसादपीहा इदं ते वा पुरनाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मानस्य विरासं किमन्ये इदं ते मुखं भोजम् अत्यन्तनीले वितं कुण्डले स्निग्धा रक्तस्य गोप्या मुहुचुमेता मे रक्तां दरामे मनसवीरास्ताम् आलं लक्ष्यलभ्ये नमो देवा दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जलाब्धिमग्नम् कृपादेशे वेश्याति निरामतानु गृहाणि समामक्त्याम् वितक्षिदृश्या कुबेरात्मा जावदा मूर्तेवयाद्वा कयामुचिता भक्ति भजाव कृता च तथा प्रेमा भक्तिं स्वकमिं प्रयाचा नमो ग्रहो मेस्ति दामोदरेहा Namaste tu damne spurati pidamne Tadiyudaraya tha vishwasya damne Namo Radhikaya Tadiyaya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Divaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tadiyaya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tadiyaya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Kaya Tadiyaya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha, Damodar Radhe. Jaya Radha, Damodar Radha, Damodar Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Sai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Sai Gora Hari Bol. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of external existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose sharp-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who, due to offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from the swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances.
Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with the ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
By such childhood pastimes as this is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of His supreme majesty and offering. That is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and free from all conception of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisance to Lord Damodar hundreds and hundreds of times.
O Lord, your lotus face is encircled by locks of soft black hair.
Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabham Giridharim Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharim Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharim Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Jai Om Vishnupad Parasparacharya Astut Satyas Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमस्पृचार्य स्तोत्र सत्श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय श्रीमद भागवत पुराण की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड गौरंगम ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 52, verse 35 and 36. Yatham Tvam Agatam Durgam Nistiryam Iham Yat Ichayam Sarvam Na Bruhi Aguyam Chet Kim Karyam Karavamam Te Yatastvam Agatha Durgam Yatastvam Agatha Durgam Nisterya Yad Ichayam Nisterya Yad Ichayam Sarvam no bruhi aguyam chet Sarvam no bruhi aguyam chet Kim karyam karavamate Kim karyam karavamate Yatastvam agatho durgam Nistirya yad ichayam Sarvam no bruhi aguyam chet Kim kuryam karavamate Yatastam agato durgam Nisterya yad ichayam Sarvam no bruhi aguyam chet Kim karyam karavamate Yatastvam agato durgam Nisterya yad ichayam Nisterya yad Sarvam no bruhi aguyam chet Kim karyam karavamate. word to word meaning. Yata, from which place? Tvam, you. Agata, have come. Durgam, the impassable. The impassable sea. Nistirya, crossing. Iya, year. Yat, with what? Ichaya, desire. Sarvam, everything. Na, to us. Bruhi, please tell. Aguyam, not secret. Chet, if. Kim, what? Karyam, work. Karavama, may we do. Te, for you. Translate. Whence have you come, crossing the impassable sea, and for what purpose? Explain all this to us, if it's not a secret, and tell us what we may do for you. Please kindly repeat. Whence you have come, crossing the impassable sea, and for what purpose? Explain all this to us, if it's not a secret, and tell us what we may do for you. Evam sampristha samprashno brahmana parameshthina lila grihita dehena tasmai sarvam avarnaya. Thus questioned by the Supreme Person of Godhead, who incarnates to perform his pastimes, the Brahmana told him everything. The word grihita may be translated as grasped or caught, and thus exactly as in English may also mean to pursue, understand something. Therefore, Lord Krishna's transcendental body is pursued, understood, or in other words, grasped by the devotees when the Lord comes to exhibit his transcendental pastimes. These pastimes are not whimsical, but are a part of the complex program structure executed by the Lord Himself for awakening the conditioned souls to their natural love and devotion for Him and bringing them back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saudutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnobhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So the Lord is here. So Krishna is saying, whence have you come, crossing the impassable sea, and for what purpose? Explain all this to us, if it is not a secret, and tell us what we may do for you. So Lord Krishna is honoring the Brahmana and asking him, what purpose you have come for, and what is the secret? You cross this ocean. So that's the verse here. So Rukmini sent the Brahmana to inform Krishna that her brother Rukmi was to arrange the marriage to Shishupal, and she wanted to marry Krishna because she heard about Krishna. when the sages or Narad Muni, they used to come to her father's palace. And by hearing about Krishna, she had decided to marry Krishna. Rukmini had decided to marry Krishna. So here the Brahmana, Lord Krishna is asking what purpose you came. So thus questioned by the Supreme Personal Godhead, who incarnates to perform his pastimes, the Brahmana told him everything. The word grihita must be translated as grasped or caught. Thus exactly English may also mean to pursue or understand something. So yes, grihita may be translated grasped or caught, and thus exactly. So when the Lord asked him, Lord comes to perform his pastime, the Brahmana told him everything. Therefore, Lord Krishna's transcendental body is pursued, understood, or in other words, by the devotees when the Lord comes to exhibit his transcendental pastimes. Says here, Lord Krishna's transcendental body is pursued, understood, or in other words, grasped by the devotees when the Lord comes to exhibit his transcendental pastimes. Yes, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes this. One should hear from a devotee, one should not hear from a non-devotee. Especially when the Hare Krishna mantra, especially as Prabhupada gives a translation, lips touched by a poisonous snake has a poisonous effect. Similarly, here it says, Lord Krishna, in this purport it says, Lord Krishna's transcendental body is pursued, understood, or in other words, grasped by the devotees when the Lord comes to exhibit his transcendental pastimes. So the Brahmana is approaching Krishna on the order of Rukmini, and informing about Rukmini's desire to marry Krishna. And these pastimes are not whimsical, but a part of the complex program structured and executed by the Lord himself for awakening the conditions to the natural love and devotion for him and bringing them back to Godhead. So natural devotion for the Lord, all these pastimes are there. Janma, karma, chame divyam. Krishna's name, Krishna's form, activities, they are all transcendental. They are not material like. So one who understands this truth, he goes back to Godhead. Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's activities, Krishna's transcendental pastimes. They are meant for this purpose. Human life is meant to go back to Godhead. So whatever all our activities says here, to go back home to Godhead. This is not our real home. Our real home is in the spiritual world. Bhagavad Gita also says, Dehino asmin yata dehe komanam yonam jara vasamsi jannani yata vihaya. So it says here that body is changing from childhood to youth, but we are spirit souls. And it says like we change dresses here. So that's what the whole thing is, to awaken our dormant consciousness, our love and devotion for him. Here is in the purport. These pastimes are not whimsical, but a part of the complex, program structured and executed by the Lord himself for awakening the conditioned souls to their natural love and devotion for him and bringing them back to Godhead. So this is what human life is meant for. But also it is said that one has to engage in the devotional service of the Lord with love and devotion, with no personal motive. So that's also devotion, but it's not pure devotion. But ultimately pure devotion means we have to render service to the Lord. Our desire is to render service to the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada also says that we have to constantly chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So constant remembrance of chanting Hare Krishna will remind us of Krishna. Because the name of Krishna is not different from Krishna. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Varanasi, Banaras, it's a very old place, very ancient place of Lord Shiva. So, especially Varanasi, it was before the time of Rama. Like Ayodhya is a place of Ram, Vrindavan is the place of Krishna. So this Kashi, previous name it was Kashi, so it's the place of Lord Shiva. So devotees, especially at that time, 500 years back, during Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit, there was a sannyasi, Prakashanand Saraswati. He was a great Mayavadi. Mayavadi means who engage in material activities, Maya. There's two meanings like. Another is like Shankaracharya preached impersonal Vaidism. He said, this material world, Jagat Brahman Satya, Jagat Mithya. Brahman is real truth, but this world is false. So that's not a proper understanding. Because in spiritual activities there are varieties. Because when there is no varieties, there is no enjoyment. So spiritual activities are varieties. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached about what is the relation of living. He explained this philosophy of Krishna consciousness to the Mayavadi followers. And everybody was convinced and they became a devotee of the Lord. And everybody was, whenever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go, many followers, many people used to follow him, lot of people. And he used to say Hari Bol. Hari Bol also is another way addressing Krishna, the sound of Hari Bol, a short form of Hare Krishna mantra. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say Hari Bol and with both hands raised and Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And everybody used to respond it, welcoming like that. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even empowered his devotees, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, to go to Vrindavan and find all the places, because at that time Aurangzeb had desecrated all the temples, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami for 10 days on the Swamed Ghat. And he explained the science of Krishna consciousness, that we are living entity, we are part and parcel of Krishna. What is the natural function of the living entity? Who is Krishna? And why we have got this human form of life? What is the purpose of life? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu convinced all the Mayavadis and all this. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at that time, he was sitting in a row. Generally, the tradition in India, people sit in a line for prasadam, and food is offered to them, prasadam, like that. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prakashanand Saraswati asked him why you are sitting on the corner, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached about this Krishna consciousness, and he convinced about Krishna consciousness, and they all changed, they become a devotees of Krishna, all his followers. At that time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had 3 servants. One was from Maharashtra, and like that, and another 2. But there were many other Mayavadi followers. They became devotee of Krishna because of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching of Krishna consciousness. Then Lord traveled to these places of Kashi, and thereafter Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri, and he informed Sanatan Goswami to go to Vrindavan and write books and excavate the places of the holy places. So these things are there. Rukmini, Jarsanda, along with the soldiers, because the princes, they all fell from the horses. They were riding the chariots like horse and elephants, and they saw the beauty of Rukmini and they fell down from their horse. So Rukmini was so beautiful, so much attractive. And when Jasanda and all the soldiers came to know that Krishna had kidnapped Rukmini, they again got up and they sat on their chariot, elephants, with their swords and weapons, they started to attack the Yadavas. At that room, Rukmini was disturbed because uh, the force were attacking the Yadus. So Krishna told, "Don't worry, I will take care of them, everybody." But this, the example is given like a rain. The cloud, when it enters the mountain, and especially when it clashes with the mountain, the place where the mountain is there is sufficient water, rainwater, because it clashes like that. So similarly, all these princes in Jarasandha, along with his soldiers, they all came to attack Yadavas. But they were all defeated. Krishna cut off all their soldiers, horses, chariots, and killed the heads and this. And they all became very morose. Like they told, "Oh, we came to support Shishupal." And this Shishupal, he wanted to marry Rukmini, and all his soldiers we are being simply killed by him. He is not able to fight Krishna. He's not a proper competent. And they left him then. So in the and few of them convinced Shishupal, "Don't worry, it's a matter of time only, because karma is there like that, everything. We will come back again like that." So, and they all left the battlefield. So Shishupal, they be defeated by Krishna and his army, Yadavas. And in the meanwhile, Rukmi, the brother of Rukmini, he could not bear the insult. He wanted to defeat Krishna. Who can defeat the Supreme Lord? He gathered all armies, he made a very strong armies, and he approached Krishna. And Krishna easily defeated Rukmini, and he tied with him a cloth and cut off his mustache hairs in different parts of his body. And he was insulted. And Rukmini being a woman and Rukmi being her brother, she thought, after all, he made a mistake, but my brother wanted to marry to Shishupal, Rukmini. So she was kind to him, and she told Krishna to release him, their brother. And Krishna just cut off the hair in different parts and just left some hair here and there. And Rukmi being insulted, he left the battlefield in that way. And Krishna took Rukmini back to Dwarka. This marriage ceremony performed. So here, Srila Prabhupada, in the few words here, Brahmana, Prabhupada, what is actually a Brahmana means, what is Brahmana? A few quotes from here. So yeah. Prabhupada says, "It's very good you have purchased a third bus and also that you're rotating the men. This is a good idea. Just train up the Brahmanas very carefully. He says, this is a good idea. Train up the Brahmanas very carefully. Many Indians and foreigners criticize us how we can create Brahmana. They are under the impression that Brahmana are born like horses and asses are born. According to Bhagavad Gita, Brahmanas are according to guna and karma. So Brahmana's qualification is guna and karma, action and quality. So the training of Brahmana should be so nice that people will be forced to accept them as Brahmana by guna and quality. And guna means quality and karma means action. So Prabhupada says, training of Brahmana should be so nice that people will be forced to accept them as Brahmana. People will be forced to accept them as Brahmanas by guna, quality and karma. So go on with your preaching solidly. Krishna will be pleased and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be kind. He is already kind. You simply have to go to village and your life will be perfect.
So this is a letter to one of Prabhupada's disciples, is to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. During they were going on book distribution, and he told how in Calcutta the communists became very popular. So he says, you carefully carry on this literature from village to village, and this was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you make a committee. And then he appreciates that you brought a bus, and people are traveling in this bus, all the devotees together. So he says, train up the Brahmanas very carefully. Many Indians and foreigners criticize us how we can create Brahmanas. They are under the impression that Brahmanas are born like horses and asses are born. Because the horse drives chariot and the asses, they carry load. The horse cannot do the ass work, or ass cannot do the horse work, like they say. Brahmanas born like, so in India they like criticize, like they impress Brahmana like horse. But according to Bhagavad Gita, Brahmanas are according to guna and karma. The training of Brahmanas should be so nice that people will be forced to accept them as Brahmanas by guna and quality and karma. So people will be forced to accept, it says here, Brahmana, guna and quality. Actually, Prabhupada also says, anybody is following seriously, people will follow you like that. Nice. If you are sincere, then everybody, others will follow you like that. But say, here also it is saying, yes, similarly. According to Brahmanas are according to guna and karma. So the training Brahmanas should be so nice that people will be forced to accept them as Brahmanas by guna, quality and karma. Quality and karma. Yeah, that should be. Srila Prabhupada emphasized these two things on deity worship: cleanliness and punctuality. Especially emphasized in deity worship, because when we worship the Lord, that impression is fixed in. And also it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in order to chant Hare Krishna, we have to worship the deities. And Prabhupada also emphasized how soldiers should worship the deities like that. But here it says we have to train them like that, guna and karma, by quality and this. And the leaders should take care of the brahmanas like that. That's the this thing like that. Previous there were kings like that, they were taking care of the brahmanas like that. So they have not to depend on anything. So this brahmanical qualification, satyam, saucham, daya, tapa, like that, cleanliness, austerity, that's cultivation of knowledge. Brahmana should read the scriptures and distribute this knowledge to others. That's of the duty of a Brahmana actually. And to make other Brahmanas, that is the one thing. So, here, another letter it is to say, it says here. The spiritual master is always engaged along with his disciples in temple worship of Sri Radha and Krishna. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple and perform other similar worship of the Lord. So we have these prayers in Mangala Arati, we sing that. The spiritual master, Shri Vigra Aratna Nitya Nana Shringaratan Mandirma. Spiritual master is always engaged along with his disciples. He says the spiritual master is always engaged along with his disciples in the temple worship of Sri Radha and Krishna. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. The temple should be maintained as cleanly and beautiful as the deity is worshipped. The temple should be maintained as cleanly and beautiful as the deity is worshipped. In the absolute sense, there is no difference between the deity and the temple, because the temple is an expansion of deity's spiritual energy. Also, the kitchen is an expansion of the deity room like that. So these things were there, like I said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Indian culture, people were sitting in line, they were taking prasadam. Because when we treat the people also, they will also become happy, like they will see the examples of the Brahmanas actually. And before we read that, seeing the example of the Brahmanas, they also become attracted like that. The qualities, guna and karma, like that. So we had this program, very nice, it was a lot of people used to come, take prasadam, And actually, that door is for pujaris because people go, but now it has become a system. Everybody is going from there. Uh, because it's a very sanctified place. There was a board also that pujari room like that. You see, because they go to the deity room like that. Because anybody comes with unclean, they go from there. That was the thing was. But now that door is closed and this changed like that. One thing before it was there. So many things are there like that, slowly, slowly. Sweets were there, a lot of sweets were there. We used to offer four sweets, deities like that. And people used to have Sunday, whole sweets were there like that. And people used to give. And last week also one person came and told me, oh, I didn't eat anything 2 days. I was concerned there was no prasadam. I told you should have asked somebody. And then today I got it. Anyway, he came from Los Angeles. So there's the Chaturvida Shri Bhagavat Prasado Sadhana. He says here, so we see in this, in culture of India it was like that, but we are in USA now at least. So distribution of prasadam, harinam and books. This is the most important, that's our program actually. Harinam, prasad and book distribution. So people become attracted seeing this very nice prasadam. The Brahmanas are following the principle of Krishna consciousness very nicely. They're getting up early in the morning, chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and then they cook for the Lord. Then that food becomes very sanctified. And we eat that food, it becomes, our brain tissues become very, then we can become very enthusiastic. That's what devotional service, one has to become very enthusiastic and perform devotional service like that. So otherwise it will lack slowly, slowly like. So this is when it says, they dress the deity in beautiful clothes and clean the temple and perform other similar worship. The temple should be maintained so cleanly and beautiful as the deity is worshipped. In the absolute sense, there is no difference between the deity and the temple. Because the temple is an expansion of the deity's spiritual energies. So this is very important if we want to invite people to Krishna consciousness, cleanliness and punctuality. Srila Prabhupada emphasized on this. And Prabhupada emphasized on book distribution, Harinam and Prasadam especially. People should get this prashadam, good quality. So as we have lost our spiritual culture in India, the person in charge of the temple treat the deity as the source of their personal income. I am very glad to hear that the government is taking steps to counteract this. According to Shastra, it is the duty of the king or the government to see that the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras are acting properly according to their enunciated position. The temples are in charge of the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas are supposed to maintain themselves by worshipping the deity and training others how to worship. A Brahmana should be a learned scholar in Vedic knowledge and train others to be scholars. A Brahmana should live by begging alms from others. Any excess should be immediately distributed in the form of Bhagavad Prasada. He says, a Brahmana should live by begging alms from others, and any excess should be immediately distributed in the form of Bhagavad Prasada. Therefore, Brahmanas are exempted from the government taxation. So this is one point here. He says, a Brahmana should live by begging alms from others, and any excess should be immediately distributed in the form of Bhagavad Prasadam. So this is there, the importance of giving prasadam here. It says, as we have lost our spiritual culture in India, the persons in the charges of the temple treat the deity as the source of their personal income. I am very glad to hear that the government is taking steps to counteract this. According to Shastra, it is the duty of the king or the government to see that the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas and Shudras are acting properly according to their associated positions. So, temple is a place for brahmacharis, vanaprastha, sannyasis, so that was a system like that. But now we see the ashrams are empty. I don't know, people come, they land somewhere else, and yes, here. I don't know what's happening. Nobody's staying. Yeah, we have to think about that. Yes, I'm very glad to hear that the government is taking steps in counteract this. according to Shastra, it is the duty of the king or the government to see that the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras are acting properly according to their associated positions. So it's the duty of the king, the government, that they are doing their duty properly. The temples in charge of the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas are supposed to maintain themselves by worshipping the deity and training others how to worship. A Brahmana should be a learned scholar in Vedic knowledge and train others to be scholars. So Prabhupada also emphasized this movement is for education, to train people to become devotees. But time, place and circumstances, we are in USA like now, actually. So we see, especially in US, the preaching is not so, people are not convinced and they don't join. All the temples mostly are vacant. Even people don't come to the temple also like that. They come on weekends like that. The whole day is like, it's empty like that. There's no life like that. But in Srila Prabhupada's time, like it was said here, there were 80 devotees. But it's a very austere life actually. Esham tu antagatam papam. And those who have been free from sinful life, they engage in my devotional service with determination. So, unless one is not free from sin, he cannot engage in the devotional service of the Lord with determination. The Eshamantagatam Papam. So this Brahma Muhurat is a very auspicious time. The day begins from there, everything like that. Also, Prabhupada's, it was a system like any pujaris, they first come to Mangal Arati, they don't go direct to the deity room also. That was a system also like that. We could say that because we are approaching the Lord like that. But things have changed. We don't have manpower in the temple like that, and so on. That's another thing. But yes. They come from out and come to do deity worship. So it's an austere to come all the way. Get up, and it takes a lot of time, and early in the morning. A Brahmana should be learned in Vedic knowledge and train others. A Brahmana should live by begging alms from others. Any other excess should be immediately distributed in the form of Bhagavad Prasada. It should be distributed. So these things are there. A Brahmana are exempted from government. I am trying to introduce the Vedic culture all over the world. You may be pleased to know that although I am engaged in the management of many worldwide temples, in the daytime, at night I write books. He's saying, I am trying to introduce Vedic culture. You may be pleased to know that although I am engaged in the management of many devotees in the daytime, and I write books. At the present moment, we have published about 80 books such as Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. These books are being well received by scholars all over the world. So Prabhupada's next step was saying of book distribution like that. So these are few things. Another letter to Nanda, that was ready. One was Tamal Krishna, then it's ready, and now it's a. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is explained by Narad to Yudhishthira that according to the symptoms of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, one should be accepted as such, not by birth. A person in a Brahmana family, if he is well qualified with the Brahmical qualities, very good, welcome. If those qualities are found in other places, it means a person who is not born in a Brahman family but is qualified, he should be accepted as Brahmana. In the Varnashram college, we want to train up Brahmana, actual Kshatriya, actual Vaishya, actual Shudra. This is possible because in the Western countries, they are mostly born according to a Vedic culture in the families of Mechani. But still, they are coming out very nice Brahmanas. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Dharma Kshetra. So this is Pancharitriki Vidhi, like that. But according to Vedic, means only a Brahmana can be do Brahmanas like that. But actually it says, in the beginning of it said, Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra, real religious means the annexation of the Bhagavad Gita must be taught. We should not contaminate the with some idea which are not approved. So one should see everything according to the Shastras. So there is complete for solving all the problems, how they should be managed by the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, how they should be elevated to the highest perfection life means God. In these two books, especially Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, this book should be regularly instructed. So we have to take direction from the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and lead the this. Okay, that's a few then. So another says Brahma Bandhu actually. Here you say the real fact. Yeah. Actually, Krishna does not say that caste is determined according to species, but according to the quality of work and divisions of society. Narada says one must be judged according to his qualification. If he is in a different class in species, still he should be accepted according to the qualities which he exhibits. Brahma. Sridhar Swami says, birth is not so much important as quality. You have very wrongly remembered about Sridhar. In the Srimad said that if one is a Vaishnava, immediately he becomes qualified for executing Vedic rites. So we give initiation and then we give Brahman initiation. But the most important thing, he has to chant Hare Krishna. Then he can worship the deities like that. Then he has become qualified as a Vaishnava like that. He says, if a Vaishnava, immediately he becomes qualified for executing Vedas. About this, the Brahmana awaits the sacred ceremony, but a Vaishnava is qualified to execute the Vedic rites without waiting for the sacred ceremony. The real fact is that because of non-observation of Garbhadana samskara in this age, there are no real Brahmanas by birth at all. So there is no like that all this process, there are from beginning to end, Garbhadana and many things are there. Because non-observation of this Garma samskara in this age, there are no real Brahmanas by birth at all. Even they cannot be called as Dvija Bandhu properly because there has been no such observation for long time. Since long time this thing has broken, it says, Kalau Shuddha Sambhava. The claim of Brahmana by birthright is a false display of material situation. It is our duty, therefore, to train all kinds of men up to the standard of qualified Brahmanas, initiating them as such by qualification in accordance with the above authorities. So they may go on progressively, unhindered to their march back home, back to Godhead. So it says, Prabhupada says we have to train them according to the scriptures. The system introduced by my Guru has chance for all the members of the society, scientifically based and applied apart from the expression of birthright. Train system to become actually situated in the transcendental platform. The system introduced by my Guru Maharaj is a chance for all the members of the society, scientifically based and applied apart from the exploitative sentiment of birthright caste system to become actually Srinandra. The literal meaning of the term of Brahmana is one who is Brahma Bhuta or the theoretical stage of Brahma Jnana. So actually the literal meaning of Brahmana is one who is Brahma Bhuta, but on the theoretical stage of Brahma Jnana. So we are not on that stage, it says. Before it says, at present, it's Kalau Shudra Sambhava. We don't follow all that Garbhadana Samskara. But still, here it says, one should train them as Brahmanas. That one progress from the stage of Brahmana to the stage of knowledge of Paramatma and then to the knowledge of Bhagwan. So Brahmeti, Paramatmiti, Bhagwan. That's three stages like that. So then it says one who has come to the first stage, Brahma Jnana, is automatically a Brahmana. Pulika. So far a Vaishnava who has come to the highest stage of knowing Bhagwan, naturally he has already established qualification as Brahmana. So again it comes to the same stage. Janma karma chame divyam evam yuvati tatuda. Prabhupada override all these essays. So for a Vaishnava who has come to the highest stage of knowing Bhagavan, naturally he has already established the qualification as a Brahmana. So knowing Krishna, that's all. So one has to know Krishna, Krishna's name, Krishna's activities, Krishna's form, all these transcendental pastimes. So one has to understand about Krishna. One has to hear about Krishna. One has to glorify about Krishna. One has to read the scriptures. Janma karma chame divya. Evam yoti tatvata tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mamiti swarjana. So this training, Prabhupada emphasizes on training according to the scriptures. So the duty of a Brahmana is to train others to become Brahmana. And he also says we have to, Brahmana is begging alms and then he's distributing this as Bhagavad Prasad to others. That's the duty of a Brahmana. So any comments, any questions on Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
I want to ask a question.
Yes,
You had brought up that there's a problem with persons who are functioning as brahmanas in temples in India, and that, of course, they begin to see the temple as a means of livelihood for themselves personally. So, and you'd mentioned that the government was attempting to remedy that situation. So I recall reading somewhere that the government was going to take over some temple. I forget, it might have been a South Indian temple, I don't know. So what exactly is done to remedy that kind of situation when the problem is that it's the consciousness of the individual that has shifted to, some sort of selfish motive as opposed to, performing a function to serve society and serve the deity?
He knows what the living entity wants it. And Krishna fulfills his desires. So we have given independence, and you mention of consciousness of the person. If not a Brahmana like that, he has something selfish motive like that. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly, 4 types of people come to me. Artha, the one who is inquisitive or wealth, one is after wealth, one who is in distress, and one is in knowledge, like that. So all they come to me, they are properly situated like that because they have come to the right path, and they will become purified like that. So we cannot cheat Krishna actually. Krishna knows very well everything. But we have a moment like we have to take this management. So the management, it depends on the management, how they manage it like that. Everything is like that. So as far as Prabhupada also says that we have to change ourselves, like we have to show our own example, by our own example, and then we can give those things. We cannot. Even Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati says, is there any kutiniti in me? Then I find faults in others like that. So, yeah. We read here, Prabhupada said we have to train the Brahmanas. Brahmanas' duty is to train the others to become qualified Brahmanas like that. The training is there. Training is missing as Kali Yuga is Kalau Shudra Sambhava. Everything is topsy-turvy like that. So everything is a chaos like that. So, but Srila Prabhupada, by his purity, he brought this whole movement like that. He created this Society of International Society of Krishna Consciousness. And people surrendered to him, and seeing them also, then others became encouraged. They joined the movement like that. So this example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "Apane achari jivere sikai." By your own example, you teach others like that. If a teacher says, "I see smoking," then you cannot teach others to smoke like that. So these are few things I quoted from here. Anything else you like to say? Prabhu. Anything? Hare Krishna. श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।